Hello, Chula. How are you? Marlios. Hello, Ra. Good to see you all. Thank you, Marlios. Yeah, sometimes I do. Hello, Riz or Rice. Rhys. It's the first time I see your name here. Is it the first time you're here? Chad? You started drinking tea because of me. Okay, well, but you know that these days I'm drinking some concoctions that is not a black tea. Adam? Oh, Adam, how have you been? It's been a long time. Marielus says, I went to the loveliest tea place yesterday. Thought of you. Oh, thank you. I love nice tea places. You know, there was one very nice tea place here in West Vancouver in the open mall village many, many years ago. I used to go there often, take my clients there. I'd go there. And they had lots of different kind of tea, fancy tea, this and that tea. Some cups, just one cup of tea was $10 at the time, which was like I don't know, 15, 16 years ago. That was very expensive for one cup of tea. But it was like white tea or called Rin something, golden something. And I just like to try different tea, but now I don't drink that much tea anymore. Not at all, just fruit teas. Reese says second time, and it's pronounced Reese. Ah, okay, thank you, Reese. Mariela says, let me know when you come to Guatemala. We have a few. I'll show you. For sure, for sure. Thank you. I appreciate that. Coral Ong Li Wei. I hope I pronounced that right. Good morning, sir, she says. Greetings from Malaysia. Greetings to you too, Malaysia. Beautiful place as well. So looks like we have enough people to start a conversation. I wonder if the quality of the Wi-Fi and everything else is okay. I have an orange line instead of green, which I usually have. This time by mistake, I guess, I clicked on Firefox instead of Safari, which is the default for Mac computers. So I wonder if that's the case, that's the reason or not. El Hajj from USA, hello. Well, today is a sunny day here. I had a few appointments out there and a few things that I had to do. It's still sunny, so I thought while it's sunny, we could maybe get a good resolution because of the light being natural light. So, hope you guys had a good week and ready for a nice interactive conversation. Chad says, what else do you do for work? Well, where I make my money is real estate. But as I mentioned before in other live chats or videos or questions that came to me like this one, real estate is just a job. I'm good at it, but doesn't please me at all. At all. At all. Did I say at all? at all. What I'm passionate about is what I'm doing now. To help people in any way I can to think, record, and write things about thoughts, consciousness, fear, desire, and ego, trying to solve that as much as I can for myself and for the others, based on studies that have been done 100 years ago, and having enjoyed and benefited from research and amazing contribution of Mr. Jiddu Krishnamurti, highly educated philosopher and a thoughtful man. I never read any of his books, but I have watched, analyzed thousands of hours of his interviews and lectures with famous psychologists, quantum physics, mechanics professors from around the world would gather and ask him questions and have discussions with him to learn from him. And through over 5 years of research and study on his work, and adding it to my own understanding and experiences in life and training in behavior of the mind, coordination of mind and body, meditation, and other philosophies that I have been fortunate to come across and study and experience, I have been able to further my understanding and deliver it in my own way, hoping to continue his work and help as many people as possibly we can in order to bring about that total freedom in the mind for the mankind. As little as it may be my contribution, that is what really I'm passionate about. Now, when I turn this into actual, a viable economic goal or economically viable, then of course that would be the only thing that I would like to do. So until then, we hope you guys will promote the channel. We're back at that, aren't we? David says hello from Dallas, age 22. Hello David, good to see you. Marielas, my main confusion is I feel I don't know who I am. Yes, that is the confusion, that at least you know that there is a question there. Most people in the world, they think they know who they are. And who they are is based on their conditioning and the contents of their consciousness. Their religion, nationality, customs, traditions, dogmas, rules, regulations, things they read, what they've come to be in contact with, who they interacted with. All these have found their way to create this person. And everybody thinks that they know who they are. But they don't even know that what they are is the past. We are all, even if we know ourselves, we're the past. We're trying to be able to know ourselves in a moment, every moment. But yet we know ourselves according to our memory, to our consciousness, which means even we know how we are put together, we don't know ourselves because we only know of ourselves of the past. We know our past. We are always one step behind. Until the thoughts exits the consciousness, we're constantly having this stale information about ourselves. Many of the memories are useful for knowing how to drive, how to do mathematics, how to recognize things, danger, people, and stuff like that. That's given. But often the way we actually think who we are is knowing who we are in the past. And we are looking at the whole life with the eye of the past. We see things with the eye of the consciousness. We don't see things as it is, without any background. Every time I see something, I see that with a tag of background file coming with it, because of the experience that I've had with it before. And if it's a brand new thing, I still perceive it to something close by. Use that information. I don't really see the entirety of that thing or that experience. And if I do, next time, again, same situation, to me is like a situation that it was. Never up with the speed of life. That's what we're trying to do, to become just the observed. Want to do without the observer, which some things about it is necessary, but if we can, and when we can, then everything is fresh. All right, before we get too heavy and sink, let's go on and see if anybody could make sense out of what I just said. David says, speaking of philosophy, you really remind me of what the ancient Greek Stoic philosophy talks about. I see similarities in every video of yours I watch. Okay. Marielo says, deleting memory is what I need. Well, some stuff in the memory is needed, necessary. You don't want to part with those. But you know that, Marielus, there is a video I have put together called How to Delete Your Memory. And that's an interesting video. You might want to search for it and enjoy it. Now, I want to see if you guys have had a chance to take a look at the t-shirts. Mine is on the way, apparently. I went to check it out and track it. Apparently it's on the way. Maybe it's coming with the flying carpets. Taking a bit too long. But I wonder if you guys have checked it out, if any of you have had the interest to choose a saying that you have choices of 7. Choose one of them and it will go underneath your t-shirt, the logo of the Mind That Seeks Truth. And that would be good, something useful, and also helps the channel. And so give me a topic and see what you guys want to talk about today. I wonder how many of you are aware of the role of your consciousness in developing your thoughts. I wonder how many of you have read the book Me, My Psyche and I, and have gotten to the chapter talking about mind needs a home, or how to stop time, or the meditation part. That is an elaborate discussion and instruction for meditation. So make a comment, let me know about what I just posed, the questions that I just asked. Coral Ong Lee Wei says, I have lost my direction since I broke up with my ex. And my business also closed down a few months ago. I don't know how to gain back the confidence. I'm totally lost. Coral, if you're good in finances, okay enough, make an appointment with me. Go on my site, click on Talk to Me for consultation. Book appointments that is fitting your budget and needs. This is something that you need to pay serious attention to it to get out of this rot. You know, let me give you a simple example. If you think of life as a carriage, you know these old Western carriages that were being pulled by few horses? If you think of life as these carriage part, and think of yourself as the horses that are pulling the carriage with chain, No solid bar there, just chain connected from the horses, which is you, to the carriage, which is life. And you're going full speed, and the carriage is coming behind you because you're pulling it. And you're going full speed. Now, if you see any obstacle in front of you, any little ditch or any obstacle, any little wall, any short, whatever it is, if you don't jump over it, you can't afford that. Because if you stop, I mean, if you jump over it, it's fine. You can't afford to stop it. Because if you stop, this wagon is only connected to you with the chain. You stop, the wagon, the life, still comes and crushes the back of the horses. So if you stop on an obstacle, instead of jumping over it and continue onwards, life is going to crush you. So the question is this: do you actually think what you went through, whatever you think you miss, which again, if you make an appointment with me, I'll talk to you about it. We'll get you out of that. If you actually think what you miss, the relationship or whatever it was, is worth for you to be crushed by life, the buggy, the carriage, to crush the back of the horses, you, and that would be the end of it, well, continue what you're thinking. But if you understand that without you, there is no him or the relationship or the breakup or the business, it is all about you. If you don't protect you, none of that other stuff matters. The reason they matter because you are on your feet, because you are alive, because you are persevering, because you have not given up, because you matter. That's why everything else matters. So therefore, number one priority is for you is to climb over this obstacle. Move on continuous. Don't allow life to threaten you. Don't allow anything in this life that shapes a fragment of this universe which pertains to you to crush your back. That is all I can say to you right now. But make a choice. Visualize for yourself. You really that weak? That miserable? That some sucker somewhere who decided to break up with you worth the meaning of your life, the value of your life, your success, your enjoyment of all the other things life has to offer to you? Everything just because of what? What? All it is just an affirmation come from someone that he himself needs affirmation from somebody else. Free yourself from needing this affirmation and go on, climb over this obstacle, move on, get your business back, become successful, and you will see how you feel about yourself and how others follow you, come to you, present themselves to you, hoping to get to know you. That's the place to be. And El Hajj says how to become more attractive to girls. The lol at the end is the answer to your question. Everybody's attractive to some girl, and every girl is attractive to some guy. So you don't have to do anything. You are already attractive. Just the fact that the resonance between the consciousness of you and hers would have to meet. That's just simply by meeting it. Be yourself. That's all. Nobody worth you changing yourself if you're decent and good enough in the way of your outlook in life and manners and morality. Of course, we always try to make ourselves better if we're really not with it. But if you are okay, just be yourself. David says, I took a look at the t-shirts a few days ago, but I need to look again because I didn't have much time to look around. Okay, I do have the ebooks and I'm reading the relationship one at the moment. Okay, all right. Johnny says, Johnny B, that's a new name. Have you been here, Johnny? Or have I forgotten that you've been here? Johnny says, hi, I was dating a girl for a couple of months. Everything was going well, and she used to say all the sweet words like people do. Then after first time intimate, she started to act cold. Now I'm confused. Ah, Johnny says no, first time. So, good, I still got it. I know who is or who hasn't been here. Well, mind you, because we haven't been really having too big of a crowd, but 20, 25, 10, it's easy to remember. Well, ask her. Sometimes best thing to get out of the confusion, ask her, say, hey, listen, what happened? And maybe you were overly interested in her and she didn't have enough confidence to take that. Now she feels she's better than you. That's all right. Move on. If she's cold, be cold. You don't have to, none of you, boys or girls, you don't have to suck up to anybody. If you guys hit it off and connect on consciousness level, cordial to each other, unselfish, helpful, caring, I'll go somewhere. If one of you is cold, why do you have to make her to not be cold? Okay, that's her choice. Respect it. But respect yourself to know that you deserve better. If you're nice to her and she doesn't reciprocate, respect her wishes. But respect yourself as well and move on. Don't go suck up. That wouldn't be healthy. Coral says, thank you, sir, for the encouragement. I will check it on the personal chat. I have bought your ebooks, but not read it. Ah, so you collect books. Start reading them. And perhaps the reason you haven't read it is because you think you have to read the whole thing. It's not a story. It's not continuous. You can choose a chapter. Each chapter is individually packaged, individually delivering something. So just look at the table of contents, see what would tickle your fancy, what you want to learn, what you want to explore, and read that one. If you want to meditate, find the meditation part. If you want to learn about your fears and ego, desire, check those out. If you want to know what suffering is, perhaps you want to look into that. They're all small chapters. Maybe largest one could be, I don't know, 10 pages? I don't remember. But do start reading it. But not like if you have to. Read it because you have time and you want to. Because if you don't read about how your psyche functions, what you're going to do when you have free time? You're going to be thinking over and over about what you are in pain about. The ex and what happened and all that. And the more you think of it, the stronger you make the synaptic connections. The bridges between the neurons are created and you make it stronger. It's like if you're playing piano, the more you play piano, the more fluent and proficient you become in it, in playing it. Because, not because your fingers are doing the walking or the playing, because you create more and more of the bridges available for you to learn things which they will dedicate themselves for piano playing. And they will restrict you from learning other things because you're dedicating all, or if not more, of these synaptic neurons, the bridges, to that purpose. If you're playing tennis all the time, that's what you're going to become strong. If you keep thinking about your ex and your past and all that thing, then you become strong in thinking that. That's why then you say, why can't I forget about it? Because you're constantly practicing it not to forget it. the lesser you choose thinking about, the lesser you're encouraging the synaptic connections to be strengthened. Which that leads you to the part that you got to be doing other stuff, become interested in learning or activities of other kinds that relieves your mind from constantly encouraging that thought process that you don't want to. Because when you do that long enough, then there are cells called glial cells. And then microglial cells, other cells, are going to find these synaptic neurons that used to be used for thinking about your ex, and they mark them with the protein, I think called, I don't know, C1, CQ or CPQ, something. I don't know what it was. I don't remember. They mark them with this protein, and then these microglials, when you're sleeping, they go and find the synaptic neurons, the bridges that have been marked dormant and not used, they destroy them. When they destroy them, you will think less of what it is that you don't want to think about, because you didn't support it, you didn't strengthen it by thinking about it. That's in a nutshell how you will delete your memory. But if you go on my channel and search for how to delete your memory, it will explain, I will explain perfectly there, from having researched on the author of that technique, and I've delivered it in a video, that how it's done, and you will have more of elaboration than the short version of it that I just did here. Adam says, I think men fall in love quicker than women these days, and this can scare them away because we must remain in our masculine essence. That is true. And that is because it's fueled by lust, by the program that is in our genes for procreation, and we pursue that. And as soon as we find the female that to our standard seems the right match, we become overly excited, because that's a part of what we are programmed to focus and seek in our genes. And we don't want to lose it, so we pay too much attention with it. And if it happened that the girl that we have chosen, that we are having relationship with, doesn't have enough confidence about her, on herself, in her own mind, about herself, she doesn't think much about herself. So she would wonder why someone else paying so much attention and love towards her, while she doesn't think she's that important or that hot or that confidence or that catch. Then she says, if someone pays that kind of attention to me, which I don't think I'm really that all, then that means that that person who's paying attention to me is not much himself. So I should not be interested, because I want someone who really actually doesn't want me. It's like the quote of, I don't like to belong to a club that takes me as a member. Think about it. And that has a lot to do with also if the girl and you both have the same motivation for being in a relationship or not. Is she actually in a relationship with you, or is she in a relationship with what you can do for her? How you can make her feel about herself? If two people have not found happiness on their own before they meet, and they're hoping to, through the relationship and through the other person's efforts, to find happiness and be happy because of the other person, through the other person, then it's always going to be disappointing, because nobody is going to be successful in trying to find happiness from the outside of oneself. So these are part of the problem that you might be facing, which all gives you the indication and the carte blanche to, or the permission to move on. You don't have to spend your time that long for someone who is in a different path or different interest than you are for a relationship. Chad says, I feel bored with life, Mehran. I've been running the family business since 21, and with my recent breakup, it's hard to get out of bed sometimes. Dating new girls isn't helping. I overanalyze everything. Yes, maybe you do. But also because you have thought that the relationship is life. That if you are with a girl, then that's the only time life is perfect. You haven't delved into seeing the opportunities available in universe, in nature, in life. So many opportunities other than the sexual part of it. When you focus on the intimacy part, companionship, relationship, to be the only way to feel that you have fulfilled the traditional role of being happy or successful in the eyes of the society, then you're always uncomfortable or feel unfulfilled if you're not in a relationship and you haven't created that image, the idea of family and so on that's been conditioned into your psyche ever since childhood through everything, traditions, customs, movies, everything. So your understanding of life has become the understanding of the society. It's not your understanding. You haven't even explored the things that life has to offer, the things that you can read, the things that you can research and learn, the things that you can develop and advance in. All you have focused on making money, which is important, and having a girlfriend. And you think this is what life is. Most of us think pleasure is life. We're trying to find fulfillment through pleasure. And pleasure is never ending. There's so many kinds of pleasure. And that's why that fulfillment never comes, because the pleasure never ends. So if that's the path you want to take to find fulfillment and oneness with life and feel accomplished, it's going to be very difficult, if not possible at all. Everybody seeks pleasure because through pleasure they're able to take their thoughts out of their consciousness. Because at the time of pleasure, you're not in the past. You're not in the future. You're totally one in that moment of the pleasure. Whether it is that you're playing soccer or tennis, or you're having a good food, or you're having intimacy, sex, a pleasure. And some people, in order to create that moment of nothingness, to worry about nothing, think about nothing, no responsibility, no fears, no nothing, because thought doesn't roam around the consciousness anymore. It has separated itself. It has become nothing. There is no awareness of oneself, especially when you're intimate with a girl. In that sexual moment, you are not even aware of yourself, where you are, what you are, your physical being. All you think, the sensation of perfection, of harmony and frequency in which you don't even exist. You just feel perfect. And people try to find that through other types of pleasure as well, which is the only way they can feel one with the moment, not in the past, not in the future. And some people, unfortunately, go and try to find this moment of nothingness and perfection because they're not worried about anything. They have no thoughts. They're not being belittled by their boss or responsibilities or put down or dealing with anything, bills or challenges or anything like that, they try to find that through drugs. The problem is that if you think that is what life is all about, then you'll dedicate yourself to that sort of a spending your time, which will actually, no matter what kind of it you choose, is momentary, and you will always come back to see that you haven't taken any steps to meet the challenges of the life itself, reality. It's always been escape. So if you try to find meaning and fulfillment through escaping from what you're supposed to be facing with, you will never find it. Through pleasure especially, and especially because pleasure is never ending. And remember, pleasure doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to get you anywhere, and doesn't necessarily mean that it's good for you. What you may feel good by doing it doesn't necessarily mean that it's good for you. Like drugs. People who are on drugs, they may feel good because that's what it does. It creates that dopamine and oxytocin and serotonin and opioids and all that, and hijacks the high feeling and takes you to a place that you think, oh, everything is so perfect. Lo and behold, before you know it, you're just crashed down, and all you can think of now to get that high back, and you get addicted to the drug. And you try to escape from the reality of life for a moment, yet you got hooked, and you go down to the deepest wells that you can never come out, or hardly. And that's another trouble. So trying to use pleasure in order to make meaning or sense out of life, it is no different than throwing your life away and never have a chance to see what life is all about. It's like saying, here, take these glasses, put it on your eyes, you will see everything clear. Nothing would bother you anymore. Yeah, because the glasses are totally dark, and when you put it on, you can't see anything. You'll just hit on everything and fall all over the place. And you hurt yourself. That's the drug. You may not see the problems that are in front of you, but you will not see anything, and you can just simply fall and hit your head and die. So you have to focus on the fact that life is far bigger than pleasure. While pleasure is an escape, pleasure is something that we are constantly seeking, but doesn't mean every pleasure is actually good for you. You have to be aware of that. Pleasure is not smart. Pleasure is not necessarily smart. Pleasure doesn't give you wisdom. Pleasure is just that. Takes you out of what it is that you think is challenging and gives you a chance to maybe rejuvenate for a bit or not worry about anything. But that pleasure should come through a healthy kind, like sports, like intimacy, sex with your girlfriend, or the girl with your boyfriend, or things that really are healthy for you. Swimming, playing tennis, exercising, or creating something, cooking something, becoming an expert in something. But you got to make sure that that pleasure is not going to come from things that can actually harm you. Then you become a slave to that brand of pleasure. And when you're in love and you break up, it is similar to the effects of a drug. That's why I have a video that is talking about to the limits of addiction. If you search into the limits of addiction, you will get a few videos. One of them is about why you actually feel so devastated because you've broken up, because you feel addicted to that brand of girl. And he explains to you the relationship and the similarities between how drugs get a hold of you and get a control of your brain, and how a breakup and your ex has created that same kind of a feeling or effect in your brain, because creates similar kind of drugs that is released through your brain. So take a look at that, and before I go any further, perhaps those videos could be of some help. Let's see what we have here. Johnny says, girls who don't like nice guys default have psychological, I don't know the other word, maybe shortcomings you want to say? Oh, there it is, yeah, shortcomings. uh, well, you know, everybody is trying to find that psychological security, which is elusive, but they try. And they try to find it in other people's attention towards them. And if they don't have enough confidence of themselves, even when they get an attention, they don't think that attention is what gives them what they're looking for. Why? Because it never does. They should look for that psychological security from inside of them by understanding how this ticks, not by having somebody's attention and then seeing it's not enough, then they want somebody else's attention because this one is nice and no challenge anymore. I got this. So they try to fulfill their confidence by other things, another one, attaining things. This one I got, that one I want, that one I want, that one I gotta get, that, and so on and so forth. And it never is what they're looking for. It never completes what they're looking for. So guys or girls, this happens to many of them unless they start hoping to bond on consciousness level rather than just the pleasure of intimacy and the attention and the affirmation and so on, which is all short-lived. Develop yourselves. Understand what life is, what your connection with nature is. There's so much more in life than relationship. I know relationship is first and foremost in everyone's mind because we are designed and programmed in our genes for procreation. We want to be loved. We want to be paid attention to. We want to be affirmed. We want to know that we are good, we are okay, and we try to find that by, what we are interested in, the person that we are interested in to pay us attention. But there's a lot more in life than just that. If you want to sum up the whole life in just a relationship, then you will end up summing up the relationship, whole concept of relationship, into one relationship. And that means you've summed up your whole life into one girl, one relationship. And that is actually belittling, demeaning the whole purpose of life. You're supposed to be here experiencing, exploring, learning possibilities, opportunities, creating opportunities for others, taking opportunities out there, finding what else you can learn, how you can actually increase your understanding of this life and this connection, the energy that flows through the universe from one end of the universe to the other end of the universe, the one that passes through us and helps us and binds us, and yet we need to learn about it, how to direct it, how to use it for getting where we want to go, to encourage ourselves, to energize ourselves, to understand the relationship between our mind and body, to understand the relationship between our energy and the energy of the universe that flows through the nature, all from all one direction to the all directions to the all directions. There's so many things to learn about our fears and desires and ego, thoughts and consciousness, to become free from all these that frightens us, that if we don't have it, and concerns us if we have to face with it and we don't know what it is. So knowing how we tick should be first and foremost study of ours, each one of us, which leads us to the question of go and get my book. If you haven't yet. By the way, thank you for everyone who has. We've had tremendous number of interest in the ebooks, especially because the books in paper version are very heavy, and of course they're expensive because of the cost that has gone through it, and the shipping all over the world is included in the price. So that's a hefty charge, but of course that still happens, and I sign it and I send it to you with a little note. However, purposely I brought the ebooks down to a nominal price of just a cup of coffee or tea, because I want everybody to have it. There is pretty much no economic agenda from the ebooks, but purposely I have done it so any currency can afford it now, whether it's Indian rupees or anywhere else in the world, Australian dollar, Hong Kong, UK, euro, pound, whatever it is not something that people cannot afford. That was the purpose of these numbers being so low. Now, eventually, I would bring it back to the right number. Amazon still sells them from $20 to $34, but in our site is like $4.99, $5.99, and $6.99. So please go get the one that you think is going to help you, and have it for reference and enjoy reading it to know a little bit more about what makes you tick. Excalibur says, unfortunately, that's not how nature works. Men nowadays are women and women are men. The roles are flipped and the attraction is a total horror show. Okay. Excalibur says, how are you, Mehran? I'm team 10 tonight. Yes, you are late. No soup for you. Adam says, we must stop as men putting women on pedestal and our whole focus on searching for the right woman and focus on our purpose in life, and maybe she will appear. Now, let's see. Is that the extent of our questions, guys? Have we answered everybody? Is it time for me to go and say thank you for your time? We will have maybe another 13 minutes, then we'll end it, since it looks like it's not the best time. Excalibur says, Mehran, what causes neediness? And Chad says, how to find your purpose. Excalibur, one needs to focus on what does that fulfillment of need, what you need, what does that bring you? You need something. Why? You're conditioned to be more from childhood. You're compared to everybody. And you learn that you gotta have more to be more. And that more not always comes from attaining material things, comes from attention, affirmation. You want to feel that you're fulfilling your needs. You feel there's a need for you to get attention from the others, because that is how you feel you're more. The need for material things, it's obvious. You want this car, you want that horse, you want that trip or vacation or whatever it is that you want. That's given. That's understood. But the need that you're talking about is needing what your desire is commanding. And your desire makes you want something, need something, because it wants to be fluffing the ego. So if you understand that ego is not part of your original being when you were born, and ego is a conditioning, is a program that was put into you while you were growing up, then you wouldn't be so concerned about fluffing your ego as a way for you to feel good about yourself. You will focus on your desire. What is desire? How is it formed? What is that need? Why do you desire that thing that it becomes a need? And if you understand the mechanism of desire that we have talked about it, then you realize why it happens. But when we only focus when it happened, We think, oh, that's a deity thing. That's part of me. That I have to go after it. That's what I need. I have to. Otherwise, like I must. But why do you have to? Why did it occur? Why did it become to be a desire? What is the process of it? So you will see that it was created in you by the steps that you went through it, that you, if you're aware of it, you wouldn't let everything becomes a desire. Because what if something stupid becomes your desire? What if you think that in order to be happy, you will always have to go and fulfill your desire? And what if that desire is something very negative for you? So you gotta be aware of how desire takes shape. And before you follow any desire, you gotta check it against your core principles and things that you think that are reasonable for you to pursue or not. But if you don't check it against any kind of a blueprint, you will just rush as soon as you feel desire for something without even noticing that desire is created because of the steps that you went through, that you didn't have to. You could have stopped it because it doesn't match with your standards of accepting to follow a desire or not. Everybody simply follows their desire because I want to, I feel like it. Well, lots of people feel like getting on drugs. Well, look where that got them. Where are they? They're not free. The whole understanding of this experience of life is to be free. One of the biggest and most focused and desired thing in life is freedom. So why is it that we jeopardize our freedom by actually allowing desire to throw us in the pit that is so far away from freedom that we become hooked on something? So not being able to understand how desire comes about puts you in a difficulty that you always follow your desire regardless how stupid and dangerous or negative it is, and you end up being as far as you can get from what you and everybody else in this life is hoping to gain and achieve and attain, which is freedom. And now what we're doing is trying to achieve freedom from our own mind and not to be controlled by it, by understanding how mind functions, how thought and consciousness, fear and desire and ego, what is their role in the way we tick, feel, act and react. Knowing that is a step toward that freedom that we are trying to achieve it by intimacy, drugs, buying this, buying that, pleasure this, pleasure that, which none of them bring freedom other than a momentary. Even the non-negative ones, forget the negative ones, pleasures like the drugs and all that. That shouldn't be even in the list at all. But even the good pleasures, all they give you is momentary freedom. When your mind, your thoughts is out of your consciousness, you're unaware of your own existence, and at the same time you're one with the whole life and the whole universe. You're part of the whole where you came from. The drop that you are is back in the ocean, which is the universe itself. Your energy and the energy of the universe is in full conflux and one and the same. That's what you get from that moment of intimacy, sex, or pleasures that you so much love. But it's only a moment. Still you come back and you see you're not free on everyday basis. The way you see things, perceive things instead of observing things, the way you be with the moment, with the now, instead of being in the past, being in your memory, perceiving things based on something happened similar that you experienced, and its memory is residing in your consciousness, and you're dealing with this now situation just as based on what you learned and it is in your memory. You become further and further from the life at the present moment. So these are what we really need to do, which most of us are just living life day by day without learning anything. The first thing we got to learn is what this that is directing my actions, direction of my thoughts, How is it working? Do I know that? No. That's why I get affected by everything, because I don't know what I'm put together. And yet I expect to know everything about my girlfriend by just having seen her walk. Suddenly she's know-it-all, best of the best, and I know everything about her. Why? It's because I think pleasure is smart. Pleasure is wisdom. I don't understand that there's two entities in her, mind and body, and I am programmed for procreation. In my gene, I'm attracted to her, but that doesn't mean that my consciousness and her consciousness can also bond. I gotta find that out before I go all out and fall in love in the real sense. All right, let's see what else we have here. Chad says how to find your purpose. You know what your purpose is. If you're now in the age that you've had experiences in life, you've tried different things, beside what I just talked about, sometimes your purpose finds you. It's something you always wanted to do, but you had to learn more about it, experience more about it. You knew what you wanted to do, but things were not ready. And you just find yourself suddenly in it. That's one way of finding your purpose. But the other one is like, you got to find yourself first before you find your purpose. You cannot connect with a purpose without knowing who you are, how you function. What is it that is important to you? How can you separate yourself from your conditioning and find yourself, recognize what the conditionings are, separate yourself from all those information that has created the content of your consciousness, and learn what you really are all about, you, not what your programming your consciousness is, not your conditioning. That is not you. That is what you've been conditioned to think it's you, through where you've been raised, the family, the society, the country, the tribe, whatever it is, that has made the whole entirety of you, your center. And you think that is you, which in fact, it's not you, it's just a society. And you are part of its representation. Whatever is in there has been conditioned, you've been conditioned by it, and you now think it's you. But you're just another functioning fragment of what has put this society together, this community together, based on the rules and traditions and so on. But when you really understand all these things, that's when you begin to know yourself. And then you will find what you want to do is what you really want to contribute. Or is it something that it seems like a profitable or benefiting venture according to what the society seems to be pushing you to pay attention to, because you will get affirmation from them. So you will lose the fact of what it really is that you want, but instead you focus on what is it that brings you that fame, that recognition, that affirmation, that they're good boy, oh wow, well, he so-and-so has done this, by the society. If you can separate yourself from that, then you may have a good chance to see what is it that you really like to do or contribute. What is it that connects you more with life, not connects you more with the conditionings that you've received, not connecting you more with the fragments of the community and the society necessarily, while what you find on your own could also benefit the society and community, which is great. But it has to be something that first it suits you, not necessarily based on what the society asks. Give me a moment, guys. Let me shut this alarm off. I thought I had shut it down, but Unfortunately, I haven't. So, now let me see what else we have here. Okay. Now, Adam says it is always almost midnight here in UK. Oh, yeah, it's true. It's 5 o'clock here. What is it? 7 hours difference. Mm-hmm. Modi Mustafa. How to deal with girls in work. I feel sometimes they are acting cold after I talk to some of them and she refused to be with me. I feel like they are so sensitive after that, like they take bad ideas. Well, you know, first of all, it is not a good idea to approach your colleague where you work to date her. They want to feel protected, they want to feel professional, they want to feel respected, they don't want to enter into a relationship at work. Usually it's not a good idea to try to invite a colleague to date unless you guys, I guess, know each other for years or somehow something special happens. But when you do approach them and they refuse to, you know, go on a date with you, then every time they see you, they think you might still need to be reassured that they're not interested. So that's why the guard is bigger than when it was before you asked them out. They feel like they now have to protect the decisions so you will respect it and not to come back to them, because they don't want to have to deal with it again. They want to have said it once and they don't want this to continue. So that's why you may feel like they're more seriously cold than they were before you asked them out. So just make sure, first of all, you don't ask anybody out at your work. There's so many other women outside of your work. But you're in the close proximity of the woman and you think now you know them, or it's a chance, it's reachable. Don't. It doesn't matter how close you are with a woman. You have no permission of any sort to think that because the proximity is close, then you have a certain kind of a permission or an opportunity to advance, make any advances or any overture of any kind to get friendly, unless they initiate that. Always let the women to be in control in such situations, to ask or to initiate clearly, then maybe. Otherwise, let them feel safe and secure and be a colleague, and don't treat them, they don't want to be treated as if they're sex objects all the time. They've been hitting on them, people have been hitting on, men have been hitting on them ever since they were, you know, just 18 or 19 years old. So they are in protective mode. Create that safety environment for them by not becoming one of those who hits on them, unless they show you clear interest. That's just being a good gentleman and creating that safety. Women like to feel safe, and part of your duty as a man is to make sure that wherever there is a woman who is not attacking you or is not a negative member of the society, will not have any concerns about you being in that crowd, that you will be simply paying attention to your own life and will create a safe environment for her. You will contribute to that. Clicksta. that is, Excalibur says, I meant neediness in relationship, Mehran, like the girl always. Oh, then you should have made that question elaborate, because that by itself had a philosophical response, which we were hoping to deliver. Like the girl always checking the phone, or the guy always asking who she was with. Yeah, of course, yeah. Again, it all comes from not being always trying to expect that affirmation come from outside. So they're looking for every of these thumbs up. You know, who gave me a thumbs up? Who responded to me? Who texted me? So I'm important. All these fictitious, all these artificial things have become actually the reality and actuality of people. These sort of things have replaced the real necessity of one becoming productive in his or her life and bring about that security by his or her own contribution to the society, actions, achievements, accomplishments, so on. And instead, they're simply allowing their thoughts to replace the actuality. And they've created this thought pattern that if I have this many likes or this many texts or this many attentions, then suddenly I've advanced myself. I'm better than before. I'm more. They're trying to get this more feeling from all these nonsense. And that's what most couples have problems with. They're constantly looking for attention of the others while they're already in a relationship. And that's the beginning of some kind of misunderstanding and problems. Yeah, just pay attention to your work, Modi, and don't follow them around or pay too much attention with them. Just do your thing. The right woman will be very clear for you, for both of you. David says we need likes for the YouTube algorithm. That's right. Yes, don't forget, guys, when you watch the videos, make sure you click on the like for the algorithm. Do that. We need the like there. So make a comment and do the like. That will help the algorithm. So maybe we become more visible. Okay, guys, looks like I have met all the, I've been able to respond, some kind of response to all the comments here. Excalibur says, Mehran, do you keep in touch with your ex-wife? Of course. We're always in touch, and we're a very cordial, respectful, kind, and cooperative relationship. And he said, you said she watches your streams. Yeah, sometimes when she have time from her life and work and all that, she takes time graciously and watches my live talks, and she enjoys it, and I appreciate that. Okay, guys, I hope that you guys enjoyed it as much as I did, and be good to yourself, to the others. It's time for me to go, and again, thank you for sharing this time with me. I love you all. Take good care of yourselves and be good to yourself and to the others. I think I just mentioned that, but do make sure be good to the channel. Watch the videos, like them, make a comment, and promote it in any way you can on your social media, the videos that you like. Thank you again. I'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.